Oh, the big red light is on. That must mean Jeff must be live. It's
Looks,
time.
looks like it. Live. Yep.
Live and
Countdown.
dangerous right now. I'll tell you right now, it's wealth by design time. Great to have in the studio, mate. It's been a week. What can I say? You know, so much information, so many things change in a week. It's like a week in politics when it comes to finance, isn't it?
I know it is. It's a fast-moving feast.
It is. It is. And thankfully, I've got you because I'm not ready for it. I'm not even wearing the running shoes, mate. I'm not ready. I'm
That's
sorry.
okay. That's okay. I'm onto it.
You're onto it.
Yeah, I'm
I'm
onto it. I'm
glad.
sharp.
Okay.
I'm razor sharp today.
Well, we'll need you to be razor sharp because what are we going to talk about today? We are going to be talking about cybersecurity, right?
Yes.
That's what I'm told. So
Absolutely.
this is something that we've all got to be so conscious of. This is not about getting your Facebook page stolen. This is, which is bad enough as it is, but you know, we live in a world now where we've got to be so conscious of all of the information is online. We could lose our look. There's so many things we could lose, and I'll probably leave that to you. So let's jump into it, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, the theme of Wealth by Design's range of services,
Okay.
Aaron, which really sort of distills down to saving money
Okay.
and making money.
Sure.
Okay. And so,
like, hang on, a penny saved is a penny earned, right?
totally. And if what happened to me a few years ago is happening at on an uber scale now when it comes to risks to your business.
Okay.
You know, and so I'll probably cover out a couple of real life examples, but the one that really got me stirred up was probably about 4 years ago,
right?
When one of my staff at the start of the day came into my office and said, "Oh, Jeff, what's going on with all the computers?" I said, "Oh, what do you mean?" And so on 12 screens, we had all the files of all of our clients.
Right.
So about a terabyte of data, about 30 years of data, client information, all encrypted with a big flashing sign on one of those screens saying, "Your cybersecurity is slack. You're going to be punished. Here's the 25,000 US Bitcoin address.
Whoa.
To send the money. Otherwise, you'll never get access to all your client files ever again." Yeah.
That's unbelievable.
I know. It was a very sobering moment.
Just slightly.
Yeah. But
Okay.
Fortunately, we were fine because we had very good advisors, and we had a plan for disasters like this.
So glad to hear that because so many of us don't have that plan. Like, you know, we kind of think, "Oh, it'll never happen to me. I'll be." No, it may. We're both actually sitting here. We've both got a story of it can happen to you.
Yep.
So, okay, you had the measures in place. You had the right people.
Yep. Absolutely. It was a case of having good advisors, and we had, and it was a weak link. I set up a new financial advisor down in Margaret River as a contractor.
Right.
I'd run out of spots on my VPN or VPN links on my router. I remember all this, and I couldn't add one more on. So we said, "Look, we'll just dolly up one of the other machines."
Right.
Big mistake. To let this bloke get to work down in Margaret River.
Sure.
Anyway, that was the weak link that the crooks got in on.
They'll find a way, won't they?
They'll find a way. And so we had a simple system of backing up all of our files and encrypting them each night.
Sure.
In those days, you ran your own servers in the office. Right. We didn't go to the cloud.
Okay.
So, and then that backed up encrypted file was then uplifted to to the cloud. So it was
you did that
two
daily?
parts process. Yeah, 8 o'clock every night.
Okay.
Yeah. And so within about 2 hours, we ignored the ransom note and we had everyone back to work within 2 hours. Yeah. So we just unencrypted the encrypted file. But it's really, really scary because we've seen what's happened to Medicare and other organisations. There was in the States only recently, there was a whole energy company that piped fuel all over a large part of North America.
Really?
Yeah. And the crooks got in there and turned it off. Like no fuel going to trucks, which means no trucks going to petrol stations.
That's right.
And
well, it stops.
And they paid it's rumoured they paid a 4.4 million ransom.
Okay.
And the crooks honoured it.
Sure. Okay.
Turned it back on. The guys got access to their fuel. And so we were very concerned about that. I think the latest US stats are that when you add all the small, medium, and large businesses, the average cost to the business is just over 4.3 million
Is that right?
in 2023. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
How much again?
4.3 million.
Right.
Yeah, per business. So
Per business.
on
yeah.
average. So the big guys paid massive amounts of
course.
fines. But it was yeah, so it was just a really serious problem. So from our point of view, as you know, we promote some products and some services on our Wealth by Design platform.
Yes.
And one that we're really excited about that we'll give the full details out soon will be a whole educational platform for employers to purchase that their employees can be engaged with, so that instead of just the one security guy who runs all the computers being the main guy to protect a business of 5, 10, 15 or 5,000 employees, this new rollout will enable every single employee to be on the front foot as well, because they're going to be educated on all the things to look out for during their normal day-to-day.
Because it's tough, mate. Like, honestly, as a punter, I see my bank details come up, and geez, it looks like the logo. It's the font is so close, and everything's very. I mean, they spend a lot of time and a lot of effort on these things.
Yes.
And you get to a point where you just think, what do I click on? I don't know if I trust it.
It is very, very concerning. And of course, it's got worse since AI got launched.
Of course.
And so the crooks are using AI now to make things even trickier for you to pick, which means the fight back from small businesses like mine and any others out there, small or large, you've got to empower your staff.
No doubt about it.
To absolutely know what to look for, how to deal with it, so you don't have those questions that you just raised.
Yeah.
That indecision. And then you need quality IT people, which we also can introduce our business clients to, who can come in with the tools. So one is an education tool that we're going to roll out.
No doubt about it.
But then, of course, you need the heavies to come in with all the technical stuff, so that you've got all the proper malware protector on your servers and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Look, obviously you need the IT people to put these things in place.
Yeah.
But isn't it great if your staff have got the right education?
Totally.
That they're going to protect themselves and obviously your business, and not just your business. How about all your clients' details? And this is the big thing. I mean, this is your intellectual property. This is other people's possessions and their private information. I see that right now there's a rather large telco that's got an advertising campaign saying how safe and secure they are, and whereas about a year ago they had a rather big breach. I can just think about the damage control. But okay, let's look at a business point of view, right? From a business point of view, they're having to spend tens of millions of dollars to rebuild the trust that's been lost. Imagine if they'd just done it in the first place. They'd done that work.
Yes.
They wouldn't have to do that.
Yeah, absolutely.
So just in a business sense. Yeah.
And it's phones as well.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
It's laptops. Phones are the weak link in the whole system, because you've got. We had a financial planning client that basically had about 50 grand moved out of one of their Westpac accounts overnight, and they've managed to do that, the crooks, by transferring the phone provider from Telstra to Optus.
Okay.
So that happened overnight. Like so you've got a Telstra account.
Yep.
And all of a sudden, and then you get when you're doing a bank transaction, right? You get the PIN that comes through as an SMS.
Sure.
Quote that, press, bingo.
Yep.
You can make a payment.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
And so the crooks managed to transfer my client's Telstra account to an Optus account without them knowing. And then the PIN number comes through to the crooks that are now controlling your phone. And when the PIN number came through, they could do the transfers. And so fortunately, the bank paid all the money back before the client even knew what had happened.
Seriously?
It was fabulous.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Fabulous rap for Westpac, I'll tell you that. I mean, that was just a really good deal, because the client, it's a lot of money, over 55 grand. Yeah. And so cybersecurity on your phone is important. Like, how many people don't have a proper say, password protector, and then a proper antivirus software on their phones.
Yeah, that's right.
They're mini computers at the end.
Mini supercomputers. So
Mini
let's face it,
supercomputers.
it's only got about 50,000 times the power of the one that went to the moon, apparently. So there you go.
I know, it's so true.
I just want to mention some of the comments that are popping up, which I really appreciate, and love the questions and comments. So we've got a comment there from Lisa. Most businesses don't have the support they would need to make this happen to them, or if this happened to them, rather. That's a really good point, because most businesses are not set up. They're not prepared for it.
No, they're not.
So get that knowledge, okay? Go and seek it. Go see an expert like yourself, someone who can link you together with the right people.
Dead right.
It's really interesting, actually. Just before you arrived today, I was speaking to a gentleman here, having another conversation. We're talking about the same thing. Now, honestly, it's kind of really weird, kind of a bit funny how the world works. But we're literally talking about the way that we need to link people together who are on the same, who have the same destination or the same interests, right? It's so important because, okay, you can get out there on Google and you can look for someone in that field, but it's not a qualified bit of information. It's just something that's come your way of, Google words or whatever. I know when I'm speaking to you, this is the advice you're going to, well, not the advice, that's the wrong word. The people you're going to hook me up with, okay, the people you're going to link me to are going to be, I know that they've got integrity. I know that they've got that backing of the fact that you built that relationship with them, okay? They're a qualified bit of advice.
Totally agree with that. It's the village community thing needs to be right, which is really what your radio station is about too, which is fabulous. Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, you've got to have someone that you can rely on, that you can trust, to try and cut through the noise.
Yep, because there's a lot of noise.
A lot of noise.
And you've just mentioned AI. I mean, and a conversation, and work with me here. I know this seems like a strange tangent, but a conversation, as I was having earlier with someone else, and we're talking about a friend and I literally stood in the same room, right? Myself and a female friend, and we pressed Google for the same thing at the exact same time and got two completely different answers. 180 degrees difference, right? So how can you trust that information you're getting from this big search engine? Now that AI is there, you've got even more meddling with it, right?
Yep.
So I value relationships with people so highly, because if you build that community, you're dealing with people that you trust. You can move forward without that misinformation, that wonderful word, misinformation. But it is true, okay?
Yep.
When information now, okay, knowledge has always been power, but information is the biggest, most important commodity known to man. So investing in those relationships where you're going to get that proper information means so much more.
That's right. And I think it's the acceptance that you'll always have villains in our society, isn't it? That's never going to change. And so what AI products are coming out now are the good AI products to counter the bad AI products. I mean, it is a bit comical, but it's not comical if all of a sudden your phone gets hijacked and you have 20 grand ripped out of your bank account. And so there are some great developments. So it's not all bad. It's actually some really good positive things happening. Smart people working with good integrity, with commercial products that people can afford, that will help bridge the gap and hopefully have the leg up on the villains, because you don't want it the other way around.
Got to be one step ahead. Look, I'm actually someone who, you spoke about your little cyber attack, not a little by any stretch of imagination, quite large, but I've had the same sort of thing on my phone. I literally have had my phone broken into by somebody else using spy software.
Yes.
And it's unbelievably intrusive and dangerous. Obviously, they've got access to your banking details and things like that, but they've also got access to your calendar, where you'll be, your GPS. It's a scary world.
It is. It is scary. Like you'll note that we all get them now. The phone call with no one on the end of it.
Oh, get them all the time. Love that.
Yeah. Do you know what the main driver behind that is?
What's that?
Okay. It's the crooks waiting for you to say, "Hi, Aaron, how you going today?" The more you say, the better, maybe even being a bit funny.
Yep.
Because they are recording your voice to match the tone of your voice as part of your ID.
Terrifying.
And they're putting together an ID about Aaron, right? Yeah. And of course, I was at a meeting the other day where this accountant said, this voice recognition ID that the ATO really has made quite
public.
Yeah. And like you, if you're phoning up the ATO, I think they're still doing it. They were doing it last time I got to call them.
Mm-hmm.
Was look, instead of going through all this identification process, just say, "Hi, Jeff. What a lovely day. You're dealing with the ATO," or something like that.
Yeah.
And then that is recorded, and they record the tone of your voice,
Mm-hmm.
and that is your digital imprint
Yeah,
ID.
that's right.
So the crooks are getting hold of this and going, "Well, we'll phone up all these people. We'll build a profile based on their voice." So that's why I now am very, very reluctant to pick up a mobile phone call if it's not ID'd.
No,
I just say,
it
look,
makes it difficult.
just say,
doesn't
look, if it's genuine, they'll leave a message.
Oh, I'm going to tell you about a time. It was called the 80s. Well, we'd pick up a phone. We had no idea who was on the other end. It was an amazing world, right? It's gone now. Now, if I don't recognize the name or number, yeah, I'm not going to answer it.
Good on you.
You're absolutely right, because I get the fake numbers all the time, the same sort of thing. And it is it worries me, because I have spoken to the ATO. I have said, they've asked me to repeat that particular statement, which I
Yeah.
won't say on air.
Yeah.
And I'm like, really? And you can use that as a voice print. I mean, the crooks are, I'll tell you what, they're not lacking in the imagination department. How about you put that effort into an honest day work, at work? I don't know.
I know it's an issue, and where you've got disparity all around the world, you've got opportunities for these guys to go.
This is true.
Here's a great way to get stuck into anyone that's got money.
So, Jeff, you've got some great people you can link us up with.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. So, if it's a big corporation, we've got the right people.
Okay.
If it's just someone that wants to round up all their passwords on their laptop, their desktop, and their phone, and put them under one heading, there's some fantastic password managers that out there, and you can put them all under one, and then you only need one special password. So it's like a phrase password.
Yep.
That you can't ever forget. Pretty important. So you got to sort of write it down in a special hidey hole spot if you have a brainwave, forget the long phrase password. But it's the best thing I ever did, just to manage. And it was amazing when it was all added up, stuck into a spreadsheet. I paid a cyber security person in Queensland to do this for me. And she helps quite a lot of my clients.
Right.
So $350 ish. You get her for an hour and a half, 2 hours, whatever it takes. She goes onto your computer with you, so you can both see what's going on, and rounds them all up. So it's an old bush saying. It's not very technical. Rounding them up. We're not rounding up the cows, Aaron.
Yeah.
We're rounding up the passwords, because they stick them everywhere. I mean, you can find them, and then go back into one spot.
Right.
And then you're taught how to use this particular password manager. And after that, it's happy days. You're fast, you're efficient, you've got all your passwords locked away in a spot. And you can even go, oh, this is a really important bank account. I'll create a password, which is like, it says it basically says that the most powerful computer will take 25 years to break it.
Okay. So you put a secondary sort of gate, if you like. On
you can, yeah. Or you can create your own passwords on these password managers that are incredibly complex. You can't crack them.
A great point's been brought up there as well. Now, if you're a public figure on radio, for argument's sake, that's one way your voice can be used in that way that you were talking about before, with the voice prints and used illegally. But the thing is, okay, being a public voice used to be a rare thing. Now everybody's got social media.
Yes,
everybody's got, so on your phone, whether you're on whatever happens to your Facebook, your Instagram, your TikTok, your voice is everywhere. So it's not just ourselves.
Yes,
everybody has got their print out there, and it's not just the tricky guys on the phone. They can do this way.
That's a very, very good point you bring up, because now you can sort of, instead of typing in the text message, you just press on these new phones, and it's an instant recording.
That's right.
G'day, Aaron, running late, terribly sorry. Boom.
Yeah.
And you get the voicemail.
And being me, I'll have that 2 or 3 days later. It'd be great, because I finally get to it. But it's true, mate. We do that. And I mean, with voice control in your car, for argument's sake, you can be driving along and you want to send a message. You obviously can't touch your phone, so you use your voice commands to do that.
Yes.
There's all these virtual assistants, which have use that as well. So there's all these ways. So it's something that's out there everywhere now. It really is. Everybody's voice is very public. Yeah.
Yeah, dead right. And we just have to be on top of it and aware of it. And if they're older, if you've got older members of the family, the grandchildren or the children they've got to help the older people and get it squared away, because most of them have got iPads now.
Oh, that's right.
And so it is. Yeah, it's here to stay. It's going to get worse. We just have to continue to get access to the right information, the right tools to combat it, and get on with our lives without
Get on
being
with
too
our lives.
paranoid about it.
Absolutely true.
Mm.
I remember the movie Fletch. I don't know if you remember that one, but
don't.
great, the Chevy Chase movie. And said
Okay.
one of the lines, I don't know, the things that stick in my head. It's got a lot of useless information up here. But I remember there was, now we had a computer. Now I just need an 8-year-old to show me how to use it. And I resonate with that big time because, I struggle to spell IT, right? So for me, let's find a kid or can help me out, or an expert.
Yeah.
And the thing you were talking about with the passwords, I've actually done that as well. I've got that where I've spoken to an expert, an IT and a cybersecurity expert, and done that with passwords because of that exact reason. I know I'm useless. Know what you're good at. Know what you're bad at.
Yep.
I'm terrible at that, so I enlisted a quality cybersecurity expert. Again, somebody who I had a relationship with that I felt I could trust. And again, that's what we're building here. Yeah.
Just fantastic. It's matching the technology with good behavior and being a little bit more responsible.
Sure.
And it's down to the basics. It's like when you get an email through, you've got to be able to read those emails properly and work out whether you should click on them or not. Does it pass the sniff test?
Oh, look, on that front though, okay, I'm a bit naughty and I really do need glasses to reading, read the old mobile particularly and lots of thing, right? So if I get an email on my phone and I'm after I've done the holding it away, like I need a selfie stick so I can read it, so it's over there. But sometimes I'll make decisions that I'm reading an email. That's a really silly thing to do. I know that might be a strange thing to talk about, but it is a strange. You need to make sure that those emblems are right.
Dead right.
I do. I have received several from banks, as I say, and they look almost right. And you think, hang on. With my bank, that letter's a little bit thicker. It's just very close. It's not quite. So, and that makes a difference. So, wear your glasses.
Yeah.
Forget about the vanity right now. Make sure that you do take your cybersecurity very seriously.
Yeah. I was given a test the other day by someone in this area, and it was actually from the cybersecurity queen in the Gold Coast, Dee, who looks after quite a lot of my people. She's just marvelous, and she sent through a little test, and it was like a Microsoft message. Okay. It was about 4 lines, and then another 4 lines, and you looked at both groups of 4 lines. You go, they're identical, and you're looking at it. It's a bit like Find Wally, Spot Wally, and then you look at it again. And I looked at it 3 times, and I had to read. I even had my glasses on. It's a bit embarrassing. I had to read the explanation as to what I was missing.
Right.
And what it was, the letter A can be written in lowercase 2 different ways.
Yes, it can.
And that's all it was. So my brain went, they're identical, but they weren't. It was the letter A. And when you looked at it really closely, only because I was prompted by the explanation at the bottom, I didn't even pick it. And I knew it was a test, probably failed the IQ test. I failed the A test. and this bloody little A was just written in a different font. That's all.
Little things, and you know what?
But that is a Trojan horse.
Yes.
Because you click on that and bingo, you've got some crook looking at your computer.
All right. So, okay, if I wanted to get improvements in this department, and I've got issues in the IT, holes in the system, as it were. So I'd just contact you, and then you put me in.
Yeah, or you just go to our website. Everything's there. So on Wealth by Design, so all one word, wealthbydesign.com.au, where there's a whole tile dedicated to anything you want to know about security. Okay. And you just click on that and you actually book in for a diary in our diary, and we'll give you 15 minutes or half an hour just to talk about your cybersecurity stuff. Okay. Yeah. Okay. And then we find out the depth and breadth of the concerns that you have. and then we know the right way to go about directing you to the experts.
Okay. So if I'm lonely, I can just set an appointment to say hi.
Yeah.
Yes. No,
We'll see it coming through.
I'm totally joking.
Aaron.
Oh, mate, your time's valuable. And the fact that you're giving it up for that sort of service is absolutely brilliant, because it's so hard. Honestly, getting real advice is really, really hard. And obviously, look, you're a business and you've got to earn a living, but like this is a great way for it stops it from being priced out of touch of most people. I think that's the difference.
That is so true. The jargon is the big one.
Oh, yeah.
In this industry. It's also the big one in many industries, and so much jargon, and people just get turned off. Think, oh my God, I've got to learn something else or whatever.
Yeah.
They just need it quick. What do I do here?
Yeah. Just tell me the Reader's Digest version, the nice, quick, concise one.
Yeah,
Away we go.
Yeah. Give it to me hard and fast and simple.
Yeah. Can I ask you a question about the cybersecurity when it comes to, the product that you guys have put together for your crypto, right? For the security of your crypto. Okay. That's all integrated, I'm going to gather.
Totally. Yeah. That's that space is moving quite quickly because, firstly, as many of our listeners know, we promote the only full custody protected crypto asset platform in Australia.
I'll say it every time. Game changer.
Game changer.
It is. Yeah. It is. Huge.
Totally. Yeah. No, there's over 420 exchanges, and ours is the only one that will give you full insurance. Okay. But you do pay for it. Remember, I said that. Of course. So there's 1% of the funds under management value. If you've got 100 grams worth of Bitcoin, you'll pay 1% of that in a fee, a management fee. Nearly all of that goes to the custodian provider, which is a company called BitGo, which is a big $1 billion US company. But the changes that are, and then it drops down to anything over 100 grand, goes down to 0.5%, back to $1. Okay. And so,
back to $1.
Back to $1.
Oh, not just the excess over.
Yeah,
okay.
Absolutely.
That's great.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. So it's very fair.
That's extremely fair. Actually.
That's the sort of deal we get with the custodians. Okay. But ASIC haven't formally said this, but they're intimating to our lawyers that the all the exchanges by around mid next year will need to be providing custody cover for all their clients.
Is that right?
So we reckon there'll be a big scramble because all of a sudden these exchanges have got a right to them and say, look, we're going to start charging you now. Of
course.
To put your crypto on our exchanges. Yeah. And
so what's pushed that forward?
Well, ASIC's biggest concern is security for Australian residents from people having their coins hacked off exchanges. Okay. Or the exchange going broke. Right. And so a full custody provider literally owns your assets on your behalf. Okay. So if the platform goes down or it gets hacked, the platform doesn't own the assets.
Right. Okay.
The custodian does on behalf of you. Yeah. The same with a normal managed fund.
Is that how that works?
Oh, yeah. Okay. You've got $1 million on Colonial First State. If that platform went broke, the question is, oh, gee, have I lost my money? Yeah. No. It's only a platform. The custodian owns that money on behalf of you.
Okay, so it's underwritten, effectively.
It's underwritten. Yeah. They're basically massive big insurance houses. Yeah. But the thing with ASIC is they're basically saying that not only will all the platforms in Australia need to be, and this hasn't been formalised yet, it's just the word on the street. Right?
Well, if you're in the know, if you're talking to the right people, it's nice to get the information before it becomes public.
So we can't say it's for real. We just that's the indication that we're getting. And they're basically saying, A, we don't want Australians ripped off. Fair enough. B, we want the custody provider to be an Australian company because we use the only one you can access worldwide, which is actually a company called BitGo in the US.
So US based.
Yeah. Okay. BITGO.com. You can just look them up. But that's an American company. So we're of the view that ASIC's going to say, even we, our organisation, that we represent this other platform, that platform is going to have to find an Aussie as a custodian.
Right.
And so the very recent update in that is that Standard Chartered Bank in the States have done a deal with the NAB, National Bank of Australia, to fund a business called Zodia.
Okay.
Zodia. ZODIA, I think it is, Zodia. You can just Google Zodia, Standard Chartered Bank, National Bank, custody crypto assets, and you'd find the article.
Yep.
So it was a big article in the AFR
Oh.
about 3 weeks ago, Australian Financial Review. And
That's a
Zodia,
very big paper.
the big one, yeah. And so that the biggest one, of course, is the Weekend Australian, but then the AFR is a bit smaller.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I don't know. If I make very poor decisions, basically they could become my blankets.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but Zodia and the NAB, of course, are Australian companies.
Yeah,
and therefore they're basically positioning themselves to go, hey, you 420 crypto exchanges, the rules have changed. Got to come and see us. This is what we're going to charge you.
Okay.
Yep. So that's an important update in the crypto.
It is
security.
Okay. And do you feel it? I mean, I know I'm asking an impossible question to answer, but what would your impression be that the rates would stay in a similar vein, or?
I would think so, because there'll be competition.
Yeah, that's why
competition will come into the market.
Okay.
And if one bank's doing it, the others will get onto it pretty bloody quickly.
Yeah.
They've got the firepower to offer a product like that.
Okay.
And they still might offset some of the risk onto Lloyd's of London, which is not uncommon. BitGo do this. Right. So it's just another.
I'm just wondering if ATSIC are basically behind this movement, then I can see ComSec getting involved. All that.
I'd say so. They're all on the same team. Yeah. They're all up at that corporate level. They've got very stringent compliancy requirements. They all operate under government licenses. So it would make sense that the NAB and Zodia are not the only Australian custody providers, but at this stage it would appear that they will be. Okay. At the moment, and then others will come in on time.
Right. All right. Yeah. Can I ask for a little bit of update on have there been any changes with the novated lease stuff? Because again, people keep asking me about this, and I just keep it very simple. I just say, "Hey, call Jeff." Don't ask me any more questions because I don't know.
That's booming. Cool. It's a booming little area. The more and more small businesses realise it's not just for government employees and Rio employees. It's actually any small employer can access it through us now. Okay. But it's a fabulous tax benefit.
Yeah.
Not always appropriate. Okay. And that's why it has to be analysed. So largely the novated leasing industry is just about, yes, let's sell the product.
Sure.
But as you know, we've developed a brokerage service where we actually dig deeper into do an analysis on conventional lending as opposed to novated leasing.
Okay.
And so, and there is a special. We're doing a lot more of the novated leases that most people don't know about. If you're a business owner, and it's just around protecting the employer who offers this as a benefit. But if the employer and the employee are one of the same, mum and dad business, and they pay each other salaries, because you've got to have a pay slip, then there is a novated lease that we do offer, which can marry the deductions out of payroll to what their current logbook is.
Okay, some out of my pay grade.
Yeah, it is. I get it. But if someone's got a very heavy business use vehicle, but they don't want to put the car on the company balance sheet,
sure,
they can do a novated lease in their own private name. But we can actually do the pre and the post deductions out of salary for the total cost of the vehicle.
Okay.
And the finance and all the running costs. We can do that and marry up the logbook that they use when they break up the percentage of business and private.
Okay.
And some guys they use very, very big percentages for their business use.
Yeah. Well,
and so that's just another deviation of the normal novated lease practice, but only for business owners.
Okay.
So we're doing a fair bit of that work at the moment.
Next question I want to throw you away, because during the week people ask me questions because obviously they've seen the show, and it was a great thing. Now, I just want to make sure I'm not giving out false information or, because I don't know what I'm talking about. But am I correct in remembering that you can actually roll in? Was it, hang on, what was the percentage of the money you can roll back into super per year as a pay-as-you-go employee?
Oh, okay, cool. Righto. So as of 1 July this year,
Mhm.
there is $30,000.
I win. I remember I said 30,000. See, I'm learning. I really
You're onto it, mate.
appreciate this. This
You're
is
onto it.
great. This is
Yeah,
great.
and I'm glad to hear it. So it's 30,000, including the employer contribution.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. So if you're on $100,000 salary,
Yep.
now the SGC is 11.5%.
Mhm.
So your employer puts in 11,500.
Yep. And then
Okay.
you put in the other 18
And you can put the balance in up to 30 grand.
Okay.
Yeah. So the 11 and a half's got to come off the 30,
Mhm.
and that's what you can put in yourself as a tax deductible contribution.
Okay. So
Yeah.
you can, if that were the case on the 100,000, you could contribute another 18,500 into your, and then that comes off your tax, and therefore
is.
you're not paying tax on that $18,000.
Dead right. Yeah. It's 18 off 100. Yeah. So
Yeah.
you're taxed on 72 grand, right?
It's getting better all the time.
Is that right?
Hang on.
78. Oh, dear oh me.
72.
So 18. So
no,
dead right.
Yeah.
So,
82.
so
Getting very
your
confusing,
taxable
mate.
income is
Jeez.
82,000. Sorry, Aaron.
Again, this is why I come to the experts, and then you put us in the right department, mate.
Yeah. So therefore that makes it tax effective.
Yeah.
You've got to be mindful that the that as soon as that money goes into the super fund, if you've claimed a tax deduction for it, 15% of that contribution will be a tax to the super fund. So you've got to remember that. So if you're not, it's got to be. A lot of people think, oh, beauty, I'm on 34 cents in the dollar tax rate. I get a 34% tax credit. No, 15% comes out of the super fund. So you've got to take the 15 off the 34. And that's the real. That's the real benefit. Still a huge saving.
Still a huge saving, absolutely.
Yeah.
And this is obviously if you're trying to build a nest egg for your retirement, because look, you're going to need it. Okay, life is expensive. Nobody wants to retire on the pension. So some forethought early in your career, or even later in your career, quite frankly, if you want to be proactive and actually build that amount up. And you've shown me, and we've talked about examples before of people have sort of done some catching up, if you like.
Yes. The catch-up's fantastic because you can actually go back a few years if you haven't been making your full allocation into super.
Right.
So if you haven't been, like last year, it was 27,500, before up to June this year, and that was in place for a while. So you could go back if you hadn't put all that in.
Yep.
And you can do catch-up, and you also
over how many years can you do the catch-up?
Okay, you can go back 3 years.
Okay.
Yeah, and then so you've got after-tax contributions as well. And that used to be 110,000. You go back 3 years there, so you could put in a husband and wife if they'd come into money, some inheritance or whatever. All of us saw that sold a property, and there's a bit of cash around. They could go, oh, hang on a minute, we could put 300,000 each as a tax deduction into super, 600 grand, and that can offset maybe the capital gains tax on the sale of their property.
You just made a really magnificent point. Okay, so people inherit things, and it can be seen as a great windfall. But if you don't get the right advice and you don't manage it correctly, a lot of it just goes to Uncle Anthony's in
it does
the lodge,
and it's a shame because so much is wasted.
So much.
It was a great quote, wasn't it, from Kerry Packer, many years ago. He said, "I don't really feel like I need to be paying any more tax than I legally need to, because from what I can gather, you're not doing that well with what you've been given anyway."
I love that speech. Well, before that, I knew Kerry Packer as the guy who invented one-day cricket, right?
Yeah.
Didn't realize, so much about him or his history or whatever. But after I saw that speech, I thought, I need to know about this guy. This is fantastic. And great sense of humor and just, but wow, what a smart
put it in perspective. One thing that's popped up again this week, and it's quite common with super, and it was, I think it came from this radio show.
Okay.
Look, we're sort of anti-government. We don't think super's any good, and we don't trust the government because therefore we're not going to trust super. I'm going, okay. Look, everyone's entitled to their opinion, but what I want to stress here to this particular individual was many people confuse what super is about. And all it is a tax structure. It's nothing else.
Yeah, and I didn't see it. So I felt the same way as that person to a big degree. You know, that my lack of trust for government, and I think I'm quite, I'm quite right in that lack of trust for government.
Yes.
But at the same time, I didn't actually understand what you were before you explained it to me like that. I hadn't seen it that way. So it's yeah. Let's think about it differently. I think that's probably what
It
I'm trying
is,
to say.
like for pre-retirees for the NDIS self-managed super fund
Yep.
property investments that we're putting together for clients now. The logical spot is for that property to be owned by the super fund.
Mm-hmm.
Has to be a self-managed super fund.
Of course.
It can't be a public offer fund or your local colonial fund or your host plus fund. It can't be any of those.
Can't be those.
But it's easy to set up your own self-managed super fund. The reason that people are doing it and putting it into their super funds is that when they get that rent net of expenses, because these NDIS houses pay very high yields, like just supported by the government, rent paid to a disabled person, and they're upwards of 14 to 15% net. And so the $1 million property is paying $140,000 a year net.
Yeah.
Now, if you're over 60 and you're essentially retired, that $140,000 is 100% tax free.
Yeah.
Okay. Only because the asset is owned by the super fund, right? That's a good thing, surely.
Well, it's a very good thing. It's something you said a moment ago, which I sort of went in my little world on this, because again, this is something that people have been asking me about. So a lot of people are asking me about self-managed super, right? And I don't know how to set one up, obviously. Now, you said it's rather easy. I'm really glad to hear that, because so many people, they're genuinely frightened of it, okay? Because, the jargon, and we kind of felt, we're kind of kept out of that world. So it's not a complicated thing to set up.
It's easy to set up, but you have to have a professional do it
for you. Yeah, without doubt.
You've got it, because you, as a trustee of your own super fund, as I said to someone yesterday, you've got the same power as the trustees of AMP.
Yeah, okay.
I went, what? I said, absolutely. It's a legal structure. And the trustee is responsible for looking after the assets on behalf of the members.
Yeah.
And it could be Mum and Dad Jones Proprietary Limited as trustee for the Mum and Dad Jones Family Super Fund. It's still Mum and Dad. It's the same people.
Yeah.
But they're actually, legally, they're separate entities, members and trustees.
Okay.
And so the trustee responsibilities are really important, and you've got to understand them. It's not hard to understand, but it's important to understand, because you can't be in breach as a trustee of doing the wrong thing, even though it is for the same people.
Yep.
Right.
Still gets messy if you don't do it properly.
It gets very messy if you don't do it properly. And there's massive penalties. Like the maximum penalty for stuffing it up is a fine of up to 50% of the value of your super fund from the ATO.
Really?
Absolutely. If you really cock it up,
okay.
and you don't get it fixed, and it's dangerous if you don't know what you're doing. But so our job largely in that area is education once again. And we can only give a broad-based education because we're not financial advisors. We make sure that a financial advisor who is legally trained, well, firstly is trained and then legally able under the law to give advice in that area, they do all that work. We don't do it. We handball that off. I've just come back from Melbourne, spoke to a firm in Collins Street. They're a very large wealth group. They're a group of accountants and financial advisors. And so they basically said, yeah, look, we've got clients that would love to know more about these NDIS housing deals, but we want to do the self-managed super fund setup, and we want to do the bare trust setup, and we want to do the ongoing tax and the ongoing auditing. So happy days, they're your clients. We would encourage that to happen anyway.
Yeah.
And you're legally able to do it.
Right.
And so it's understanding the boundaries, the legalities, the benefits, and the penalties if you get it wrong.
Yeah.
Most people are fine as long as they're prepared to study and pay attention to the information, because they are legally responsible,
of course,
for managing that super fund. and not cocking it up.
Yeah.
They pay a bit for advisors. Like the classic mistake would be, oh, I've got 100 grand in my super fund.
Mhm.
I'm the trustee. I'm also the member. It's my money.
Yeah.
I need to lend Flossie 10 grand to go and buy a car.
Right.
I'll pinch it out of the super fund and I'll put it back.
Mhm.
Completely illegal.
Yep.
You cannot do that.
Right.
You can do it on your phone and transfer the money,
Oh, yeah.
but it's illegal.
But you're getting a nasty letter in the mail, right?
Oh, yeah. Well, you'll probably fail your audit.
Okay.
Every
Of course,
year it's
yeah,
audited,
makes
right?
sense, yeah.
So the tax is done and the audit's done.
So what kind of running costs have we got on these things? So every year,
3 to 5 grand.
okay.
If they're complex, 8 grand. Expensive. So you don't go and do it for $25,000.
No.
You go and you don't do it for that. You need to have a reasonable amount in your super.
Sure.
150 minimum, normally around 2 to 3 to 400.
Okay. Yeah, but the benefits are much larger than the 3,000 or 5,000 you spend, right?
I've got you. Oh yeah. The expenses.
It's an investment. It's not
just
an expense.
Yeah, it's totally an investment, and it's a cost of doing business.
Which is a reality of life.
Dead right.
Yep.
Every household that wants to retire as a financially independent people, they're actually really running a business. Money in, money out, building up wealth.
Yep.
It's a business.
So true.
Yeah.
I mean, look, I used to sort of cringe and feel a bit sorry for myself every time I paid the accountant. But then I realized, you know what, I'm paying for their expertise. I'm paying for the fact that of the skill sets and the knowledge that I am lacking.
Yes.
Right. And ultimately, this is an investment in my future. So if I can do it myself, no worries. I can bundle my way through. Guess what? I'll probably end up with less money. Let's be very real about that, or making mistakes, or going down the wrong path. So invest a little bit in the right people, in the right hookups of the connections of the service that you need.
Totally. And goes without saying, it's not about penny pinching and people being ripped off. It's actually just about a professional understanding of what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
And you just pay the money.
Yep.
Learn about what you're getting. Yep. Understand the ups and the downs. Only do it if there's more ups and downs.
Definitely.
And then go, yep, well, who are the best people to help me with this?
Sure. But learn about it. Absolutely.
Take an interest.
Yeah, take an interest.
Take an interest. Yeah.
This is your retirement.
Yeah, step up. Yep. If it's to be, it's up to me.
Oh, look at you go. And on that motivational bombshell, thank you very much, Jeff. We'll end the show, mate. Thank you very much for coming in today. And again, I look forward to more questions through the week and people asking me. And a lot of it's just reaffirming what you've been talking about. But obviously, you can go onto YouTube or any other services, we're all over socials, let's face it, and watch these shows again if you want to. But again, if you want to get questions in, you can send us an email through edgeradioaustralia.com. We've got a contact page there, or they can contact you where?
At Wealth by Design, all one word, wealthbydesign.com.au.
Easy as that. Thank you very much, Jeff. This is Edge Radio Australia, Wealth by Design.